Good evening again, class. Thank you for being patient this evening. We would like to continue with our lecture this evening, and I would like you to remind that this particular lecture is actually uh, second part of our lecture last time, which deals with uh, land policy, land law, and also land management. And then we have discussed in that material um, the the essentiality of land policy, and that in terms of hierarchy of issues, land issues, at the highest level is land policy. However, land policy that does will cannot or do not possess or does not possess the force of law if there is no the force of law if there is no legislation, if there is no legal basis. Okay, it can only be implemented if it has a law that is being used as that will support it actually. No, so this evening we would like to start with the concept of I would rather continue with the concept of land management, and then we will specifically also swing a little bit on the concept of land administration. What is the difference between the two, and why do we need land management in the first place? If you notice, no, if you notice, the hierarchy of issues from land policy, we have discussed that, and then we go to the uh, land management. And then from land management, we go to land administration. So we are slowly cascading to the various subject matter of land or administration and management that after going through all these issues, we are now ready to understand, and we are now ready to have a more wider perspective in terms of what LAM is all about. Okay? First, this evening, if we are going to, or if we may start our lecture, we will start with why do we need a better land management? No? Ano makinanglan man tag land management? Why not land administration immediately? Okay? Remember that land management follows after land policy. Okay? Land policy, land management, and then land administration. That's the that's the cascading hierarchy of land issues, issues in the land sector. Hierarchy. So that means to say we cannot have an effective land administration if there is no clear land management. How can you even subdivide? How can you even subdivide in a particular property if there is no allocation, whether that is for settlement, uh, for agriculture or whatever use it is? There must be a clear land use plan. And land use plan is actually the essence or part of land management. The land use plan allocates what is in the land use plan. It allocates the various. It allocates land to its various uses. Okay, that's the essence of land management. Now, what's the purpose of land management? To be, if we may recall, for environmental protection and for to address poverty or to address for economic development or for economic for optimal development or economic or optimal use of land resource. Of course, that goes with it economic development. Okay, so we need a better land management. Why? Why do we need land management? Okay, backtrack a little. No, backtrack a little. What is land? Land. It is a unique nature. In its unique nature, it is scarce. No? Crucial role of it in human settlement and land development cannot be treated as an ordinary asset, controlled by individuals and subject to pressures and inefficiencies of the market. Okay, land is not a simple asset. A lot of people died. A lot of people would like to really give their lives for purposes of really standing firm in their ground to possess the land. No? Name a country who has a conflict with another country more often than not. that conflict is traceable to land. Land is really not a simple or ordinary asset. It is a very important asset for human survival. Okay, now even in the early times of the Egyptian, the biblical times, they already have land management and land administration. In in the in the Bible, you may recall there that Pharaoh already subdivided which one for pasture, which one for growing wheat, which one for development or protection of the water system. Everything is allocated, and each and every individual, they share the or they partition the land by means of their simple and simplistic land administration system. So it is as old as the Bible, and I would say the problem of land. No, now Del Mahoney McLaren, uh, in 2007, they said that in one sense, land is something physical, a geological or biological part of the earth. In many juridical systems, legal profession defines land in a very different way as an abstract set of property rights that govern the use of land and the ability of the owner to acquire dispose these rights. Okay? Let me repeat that. In one sense, land is just what? A physical, something physical, geological or biological part of the earth. But in the juridical system, okay, in the juridical system, it's actually more than that. Okay, people fight with their lives to gain a territory. Okay, so land, as an abstract sense, it is also a physical sense. An abstract sense, it is a set of property rights. Okay, it's a set of property rights that are that are tradable. You can sell, you can bequeath, something like that, and the owner possessing that right defined under what we call as title as all the rights in his own disposal to sell or to dispose that piece of property. Okay, so that's the complication there when it comes to land as an issue. Now, furthermore, McLaren's continued by saying that these rights may be considered to extend from the center of the earth to the infinite in the sky and include all things in permanent contact with the soil, such as buildings, minerals, and vegetation. If you are occupying a certain property, you might think actually that your ownership extends at the earth to the earth's core and then extends also unlimited to the sky. But the law sets a limit in our in how we own a property. There is a limit. Everything under in our law in the Philippines, everything under your 6 feet or maybe how many feet under your property is already owned by the state. All those mineral resources under your house is owned by the state, and you cannot extend your right indefinitely unless you will run in conflict with the airspace that is also owned by the government. No? So that's how. But theoretically or ideally or conceptually, it could extend indefinitely to the sky, no? Because you're occupying here. But the law sets certain bounds there. Okay. Now, main phases in humankind and or land relationship. In other words, there is an evolution of humankind and how land resources are really being how land resources are really becoming part and parcel of humankind and also socioeconomic development. Okay, we call it the evolution of application for cadastre. Cadastre is just recording of land, uh, say information. Okay, the the first, say for example, evolutionary like setup was in early times up to the 1700s. Okay, early times up to the 1700s. We call it the the agricultural revolution. Then feudalism. Feudalism. There's landlord, king, something like that. Landowner, and then you have this encomienda in the case of the Philippines, and then from until the 1700s, no, until the 1700s, we call it the fiscal evolution. Okay, fiscal evolution. Then the what is characteristic in there is that agricultural revolution started under a feudalist system. No, you might when when I when I went to when I had this chance to go on an immersion training or visit for LAMP in in Europe, we saw a lot of castles. No, so many castles spread over the entire Europe. So we asked our guide, Why are these castles existing before? I mean, who owns this castle? And why are these castles here? No? Who constructed this castle? Now, if you may recall, the the one occupying the castle are landed people. They are king in themselves. No, they are king in themselves. No, and then these castles are actually we call it it defines a territory, and we know that Europe before was under monarchical system. So whenever you have a castle, you have subjects around you cultivating your land and just you know you're acting like as if you are the king of for everybody. And then like, we call it the feudalist system. No? The feudalist system. Now during that time, land is equivalent to wealth. If you are a landed person, you are a wealthy person. Now, late 700s up to World War II, okay? Late 700s up to World War II, we call it the industrial revolution and land markets. No? Land, during the time, 1700s up to World War II, land is equivalent to commodity as well as wealth. There is already trading of land, selling here and there, buying here and there, something like that. And then we call it the Industrial Revolution. That was the time that you have this what? You have these uh, factories are built, and then they also with increasing population, there's need to define land ownership. So land become already tradable commodity and as well as a source of wealth. Okay, so that means to say this is now the evolution. There was that transfer evolution. In other words, there is transfer of ownership because there is buying and selling. So acquisition here and there. So the ownership of land becomes tradable. In other words, during that time, there is transfer of ownership. After World War II comes the post-war reconstruction. Land is equivalent to scarce resource as well as wealth and commodity because of expanding population, expanding territory. Land is getting more and more scarce. So, because land has become scarce, we need to plan land use plan. What we need to plan out are we going to effectively use our land. That is the planning. No planning evolution. Okay, until finally in 1980s. No, in the 1980s onward, even until this time, that is the information revolution and sustainable development and social equity. Land is equated to community, scarce resource, as well as wealth and commodities. So it's cumulative in the sense that land is getting more and more important from the early times until the 1700s until currently. The issue on land becomes more and more uh, important. And it has become doubly important this time. Why? Because not only that land is actually needs to be planned out, land also is shrinking in area. It does not only shrink in area in terms of increasing population, but literally there is shrinking of land area globally. Why? Because of climate change. We know already from our previous lecture in the first lecture of this course, we have a problem of increasing global temperature. When there is increasing global temperature, It's going to melt down the ice, and there is going to melt down the ice in the Arctic region, and it's going to, you know, increase the sea level. There's going to be a rise in sea level globally, and those flatlands that are actually almost below sea level will now be inundated with water, and with this water it will encroach land area, and people will be pushed up upward into the mountains, something like that. So that land area is literally sinking. I mean, shrinking. Okay, literally shrinking. Hence, it's there is no exemption. There is no exemption. Everybody, whenever there are flatlands, will be affected by shrinking land area because of sea level rise. Bangkok, even Manila, Bangladesh, even Europe, especially Amsterdam. Amsterdam is below sea level, and several other countries. Maldives, the tourist, I know this tourist spot there, it will be inundated by water. So there is going to be what scarcity, severe scarcity of land resource globally. What happens? People around the globe will be shopping for land. There is a global shopping for land. Even this time, no, even this time, it's already perceptible. So this is now the cumulative dynamics in how man relates to land historically, and also uh, economically. It's connected, no, from fiscal to transfer to planning to multi-purpose, no? Multi-purpose already. So because of scarcity, man has to really man has to really uh, manage his own property well, and it should be effective and made productive, no. So this is the trend in geomatics of land resource, is how we see land is becoming more and more scarce. After this age, I mean, the next era after our generation, we will notice that land is uh, becoming severely and severely scarce already. Imagine increasing population globally. Population growth is one of the strongest pressure that land area is facing globally. Now, who resolves land conflict? If people will really haggle, quarrel, or even have disputes because of scarcity of land resource, who resolves land conflict? Naturally, naturally, the best qualified and broadly educated and trained land managers. Who are they? You, you, who enrolled in this land management or land administration and management program, because you know what are the issues, how to address these issues. Other words, sorry. In other words, whether you like it or not, after completing this course in Master of Science in Land Administration, or Master in Land Administration, or even Diploma in you will become part of the cadre of land managers and change makers in the land sector, because you will go through all the different methods, frameworks, and methodologies in how to address issues surrounding the land sector. No? So you have a very uh, high and noble cost to assume after you finish this course. Now, as we have said, I'm just going to review this particular diagram. So this is a diagram where you have uh, to really visualize. You have to visualize how to effect, how to institute, and how to make sure that your land development is sustainable. Okay? Now, sustainable land development is not attainable without a sound spatial planning. Okay? Before, when you plan out how to use the land, how to use the piece of property, You just have to visualize as far as your eyes can see, and maybe walk there there, and define your ownership, and define your define your what you're going to do in that piece of property. So in other words, you are on the surface of the earth looking at your property. Now this time, because of complicacy, things are getting complicated. Surface view is not anymore, is no longer enough to make a sound and sustainable land development. Why? Because at surface view, you cannot see the interaction of various landscapes and also land formation. We cannot see the interaction, but try to view it from above. If you view it from above, no, if you view it from above, we call it a spatial view, space, no, spatial. You see a landscape, and you will really exactly visualize the interaction of various land formation. And when you see that, you can better plan how to make the best use of your land resource. Okay, by spatial view, or using a view from above. So that means to say, sustainable development is not attainable without sound spatial planning, land policy, land administration, and management, comprehensive land management. So that means to say, the starting point is good spatial planning, good land information through good spatial planning. And then institute, what is the land policy that you have? Okay, the land policy can also support information to spatial planning, and then with land policy, look at the administration and management that you have. What are your priorities? What are your what are the the individual priorities of that constituents? And what are the compositions of your land resource? And then with this together, you have the expectations and the the priorities of the society, coupled with your available resource that you have. Then you can better use the land resource in your area. Okay, so it starts with a good spatial planning, providing good information for land policy. Because when you see from above, it's already getting more and more polluted or something like that. You know what? If you view, for example, if you view the mouth of the river at the surface, you cannot see how wide is the pollution going on at the mouth of the river. But try to view it from above. You can really see where the pollutants go in the ocean, and even where it is coming from, and who contributes to that pollution. You cannot see that from below, or you cannot visualize it exactly, the interaction of all the different land formation. But when you view it from above, you can see everything. And that's where you can start a good and sustainable land development. No? That is very important. That's why spatial view of everything, spatial view of the land area is very important. It's very convenient already this time. We have drone, we have satellite view, everything is already possible. No? Now, after that, after you have seen the land formation, and then you can see you have maybe allocated land, land land uses for various priorities. Then you are now ready to secure land rights, no? Secure land rights, and also register your property ownership or your property rights. A good example here is uh, like BSU. No? BSU, our university, BSU has a claim for about 1,100 hectares of land reserve at the campus where the buildings are erected, and in the forest and above there in the mountains. That is how far the 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 land area of the university. But look what is happening today. What is happening today? We occupy the campus, but walk maybe 2 or 3 kilometers up in the mountain, you can see a lot of squatters there. And they are willing to die for their property that they cultivated years before. And not knowing that the land that they are cultivating, they cut the trees and everything, do kaingin, the land that they're cultivating is owned by the university. Now it was only now that we invoke our ownership. So we invoke our ownership only to find out that we do not have that property. Our right there, our property right is not well defined. What do you mean? We don't have a title for this particular land allocated to us. It was only allocated in principle, but there is no documentation to prove that we own the property. But the law says that this is our property, the university. This is land grant from the government. Because we are a government institution, we are free to claim. But we really have to have a clear, a clear document to show that our possession of the property is irrefutable. No, irrefutable. So what we did this time, we have reconstructed our land use plan for the university. And it is going on this time. And then that land use plan will now define the various allocations of the various types of land that we have in the university for agriculture, for experimental plots, for production, for protection, for what? Everything, for watershed protection, and for many other purposes, and for settlement, of course, no, down the line. This should be defined in the land use plan. And not only defined, it should be registered in the land registry so that we will have a clear document to show. It was just learned this time that there is a conflict of ownership or claim between the Baybay Water District and the BSU. There is an overlap in the territorial, in the boundary claim. So what is being done now is that we define our property, but we come to terms with the Baybay Water District to manage this like together. Okay? We don't have to quarrel because we are both looking after the welfare of the people. So since they have their they have their document also, we have our own document, only that it is overlapping. So the water resource that is found in that overlapping claim, we better manage it collaboratively. We don't need to quarrel. But in some countries, this can already justify a source of quarrel, and that is what is happening in the Middle East or even in the West Philippine Sea, overlapping claim. So, but we don't normally, we don't just resort to armed conflict or very what very dangerous conflict. We need to settle it in a way that beneficial to all to both to all concerns. No? So that is the situation this time. We cannot impose, we cannot institute development unless we have a clear land use plan, and we cannot even allocate if we do not have a clear property rights on that. We can only have a clear property rights if we register the property. That means to say, even BSU should have a title of that land. Ana karon daghan mga squatter dito sa bukid. Ang uban ana gibayra na, gipulihan pod sa katong uban nga ko ano pa man mahuman ang land use plan sa BSU. And you cannot just go there and then pawaon mo na sila. Makigpatay ng mga tawhana. Di na pwede. Maulan na maingnan mo. So, and then with that, if it is a private property, there is a tax that should be collected. Revenue. So, if the ownership is not defined properly, you cannot collect this, and the government will be denied of this revenue collection. Because asa man kababayad, may klarong tag-iya. Di, wala. If klaro pa tang tag-iya, klaro kaig asa mo bayad, then the government can collect taxes. That is the opportunity loss if the land is not properly documented. But in the case of BSU, we don't have to worry tax because we are the government. No, we are part of the government, so we don't need to pay tax. The only thing is we should have a clear document to show that we own this piece of property. Okay, let's come to the introductory concept of land administration. No? Now, land administration is the system that governs, the dynamics within the land sector at the parcel level. Remember, at the parcel level, surveying, titling, registering, and also buying and selling of land. These are activities in the land administration system. Transaction between buyers and sellers of property. These are part of the land administration system. Now, this one is actually a global functioning diagram already. Now, there are two. No, there are two. Say client here. We have here landowner. Okay, landowner or lender. Nagpagamit sa iyang yuta. We also have a client, probably willing to buy a buyer or ato nimo ibaligya ang imong yuta. Okay? Now, at the center, you have here the notary. No? The notary who keeps all records, no? Who keeps all records of land in his own territory, in his own jurisdiction. And then with this, the notary provides the facilities by which you can transact land, whether you're a buyer or you're a seller. Okay? And then the notary also has an active like communication to land registry, which is part of the cadastre. And then you also have information about the owner of the land. Okay? The owners of the land. So that means to say, if you sell, you have the notary who will finalize the document. You sell the land. And then you request for land information in the land registry, in the cadastre. Then you register. And then the court will give you legal as a authority to transact. Like, for example, transact land transaction, make land transaction, until finally you you dispose of this property to a particular client. Now, this land information registry is accessible it's accessible to the public through web service, internet, no? Through internet. They have a database, but not just anybody, but the notary can access that very well. Now, and I noticed that if you buy a piece of property, maybe a house not in the subdivision, an agricultural area, or any piece of property, no? If you buy a piece of property, you just have to go to the notary. And then the notary will arrange the document for you, and then also will tell you the price. And when you pay, you can get what you want. You can see the property without even having to meet the owner of the land. No? Pwede na ka mo pala tugyuta. Sabihin mo makita ang tag-iya. No? Just go to the notary. He has all the information there. So, very systematic. Pero sa ato, grabe kayong hinangyo ay sa tag-iya, no? Wa pa, di pang yun. Ang notary will come later, no? Pwede na magbalik yung yuta nga ni, why notary, why abogado pa, no? So, this one is a global functioning, no? Very efficient.
You can have the title in less than 1 week, no? After you pay from the you pay your money sa imong yuta to the notary. The notary will just transmit the payment to the owner of the land. No? So very efficient system. Now, that is the land administration system. Now, what is land administration? Land administration is the way in which the rules of the land tenure, remember, rules of the land tenure, are applied and made operational. Land administration, whether formal or informal, comprises an extensive range of systems and processes to administer. Okay. Rules regarding ownership, rules regarding land tenure, operationalizing it, rules regarding succession of property, it's part of the activities of the land administration. But allocating land from a broad classification, whether for protection, for industrial, for agricultural, etc., these are activities of or the works under the land management. Okay, what is the purpose of land management? For environmental optimal of the environmental conservation or protection, and for optimum economic uh, benefit. That is to maximize the profitability or even the optimal use of the land. No? Now, at the partial level, we have the land administration. Now, the practices of land administration. The practices of land admin include transfer of rights, okay, from one party to another, either through lease, sale, loan, gift, or inheritance. The regulation of land property development, the use and conservation of the land, gathering revenues from the land, leasing or resolving conflict concerning ownership and the use of land. No? Processes you have transfer of rights or ownership, regulate land property and conservation of land property, tax collection, gathering revenues, tax collection na siya, and then also resolving disputes in the land. These are land administration processes. Resolving disputes. Magkabangi mo because of whatever land conflict ninyo, settle ang dispute. That is land administration activity. No? That is a land administration activity. So, can you now see the delineation in terms of or demarcation in terms of which one is land management activity, which one is land administration activity? I hope it's quite clear to you this time. No? Now, land administration, furthermore, functions may be divided into four components: juridical, regulatory, fiscal, and information management. No? Remember the functions of land administration: juridical, that means to say, what? Legal, no? Defining legal claims, something like that. Regulatory, that means to say, sets the limit and boundaries. Adjudicating certain boundaries. I-define ba ang boundary? Survey, i-define ang boundaries, no? Fiscal, that means to say, imposing certain rules and restrictions. And information management, you register and have it documented. So, kinahanglan mo musubay jud ka ani. Kay di ka marehistro, awa jud ka, wa kay bahin sa imong plan. So that means to say, these functions of land administration may be organized in terms of agencies responsible for surveying and mapping, land registration, and land valuation. Okay, land valuation. So, remember these 5 different components, no? Juridical, regulatory, fiscal, and information management. Okay. Now, let's go to land management, relationship of land management and land governance. Okay, this is a lecture from uh, uh, Professor Dr. Volker Magel of the Technical University of München or of Munich. Now, from land management to land governance, international trend. No? Now, first is we talk about land governance. No? You have land management, naapoy land governance. What is land governance? No? It's it's a highly tossed around term or uh, topic, no? But there is no universal definition to it. There are no fixed component of land governance. It's almost like a very fluid and dynamic topic. Land governance still an open and hopefully not too much confusing concept. No? Until now, there is there is too less academic discussion and own contribution. Now, what are the challenges of land governance? They have they their lesson in terms of really um, uh, addressing land governance and land management in Africa. Land governance is very important. First is there is it is necessary to recognize the centrality of the centrality of land to sustainable socio-economic development. No? First, land governance and issues around it to be successful and to be workable, it has to recognize the centrality of land to sustainable socio-economic growth and development and the security of social, economic, and cultural livelihood of the people. So we really need to acknowledge that everything, our life and livelihood, or lives and livelihood, are actually attached to land. Okay? Now that means if you institute land governance, you need to respect all these different intertwining issues. Recognizing that is one. Not only to recognize, but you have to take a very careful note for a land governance to prosper. You have to take a very careful note that the diversity of issues and challenges facing land, facing access to use and management of land resource, and the threat relating to land and related resource, including those arising from changes in the global political and economic environment. No? Everything else, including political issues and economic problems, is actually closely tied to land. So, institute land governance is a very wide-ranging effect. It has a very wide-ranging effect, and also being conscious of the need for strong system of land governance. No, they have this recognized in Africa. No, and then not only that, declaration of land issues has to address the importance of land governance by acknowledging the comprehensive consultation and discussion that is to be made by experts and of course with the participation of stakeholders. No, there should be participatory land, ano, uh, land governance because participatory in the community because land is so intertwined in the lives and livelihood of people and of course other socioeconomic factors. No? The concept of land governance becomes more complex and encompasses a wide range of components by Global Land Tenure Network, no? GLTN. Now, in that forum, they came up with an own definition which is used by UN Habitat. They have their own definition, the GLTN, uh, Global Land Tenure Network na siya. No? They have an urban a forum that came up with their own definition of land governance. Okay, now what is land governance? Land governance is defined as the rules, processes, the rules, processes, and organizations through which decisions are made about access to and its use of land, the manner in which decisions are made and implemented, and the way that competing interests in the land are managed. Oh, there are three keywords here. No? The rules and processes and organization. The organization, okay, land governance is the processes and organization through which first keyword is access to land and its use, and then decisions are implemented and enforced, and the way that competing interests in the land are managed. So, in other words, if you institute land governance, you have to manage competing interest. Okay? Kinahanglan basig magka-bingkil na tanan niya. You have to manage the conflict. See how these things become interactive. And then access to and use of the land is properly respected. Okay? So, it encompasses statutory, customary, and religious institutions. No, because there are areas where by uh, reason of ownership of the state, or it could be customary land owned by the indigenous people, or it could be land that are owned by the religious institutions. So these are different areas that needs to be acknowledged and respected. Land governance also encompasses statutory and also other types of land. It includes state structures, sorry, courts and ministries, responsible. And of course, it covers both legal and policy framework for land, as well as traditional and informal practice that enjoy social legitimacy. So that means to say, an effective land governance must be participatory in nature, participatory in character, and participatory in format, or in in the process, in the implementation. No? Because you have to respect customary, statutory, and of course religious institution surrounding the land issues. Statutory, that means those are the things that the ministry or the courts or even the state has uh, provided for as authority. Customary, meaning to say by reason of culture and also by people, uh, aborigines of this particular area must be respected. And of course, the the religious institutions also that are behind all this ownership dynamics of land resource. Now, land governance as the organizational and institutional principles of land management implies a spatial dimension of land governance. Okay? It is indispensable and it is indispensable precondition for sustainable land or sustainable development and welfare. In other words, land governance, no, to be effective, it needs to be properly implemented through a sound spatial planning dimension. And of course, it has to really address not a self-serving interest, but really the interest of sustainable development and welfare of the people. It has to have a legitimate, say, interest that serves the welfare of the common public, not vested interest of only very few people. No? So you will see the hierarchy of land issues in a different format. No? You have here land policies as the highest in the uh, hierarchy, and then you have land management, Then you have land administration, spatial data infrastructure, and cadastre. And down the line, you have the land parcel. Uniting them in order for all of this to work is a good land governance principle. No? All this will work together. No? Will really have a strong foundation if there is a good land governance principle, grounded upon good land governance principle. No? So you have this particular presentation of the you know, uh, hierarchy of issues in the land sector. No? Now, the difference between land governance and land management. Okay. Land management is related to decision-making processes and activities which are undertaken to achieve economic growth or economic objectives and environmental and social goals for humanity. No, di ba? Mag-allocate ka to address economic and environmental goals of society. What about land governance? Land governance refers to decision-making framework. Land management, decision-making process. No? Decision-making framework with sound governing system which guide the operation and implementation of land management. Okay. So that means the two are intertwined together, okay? Because the first one is the first one is land management, for example, decision making process. Well, the other one, decision making framework in order to implement land management. Mauna sa land governance. How can you confidently like allocate walay gubot kani for agriculture, kani for industrial, kani for protection. Now, what about if there are people living in that area considered as protected area? It will spur conflict. So that's why you need to have a land governance, a well-established land governance in order na ma-implement nimo ang land management. Okay? Because land governance is the framework. What is the framework? Participatory land management. What is the framework? Uh, you know, transparency and consultation in order that people surrounding the land sector will understand. And implementation of land, like for example, land management activity will not be disrupted. Okay, so that is the relationship of land governance and common land management vision. No? Common land management vision. That means to say, we see how we can achieve sustainable development through efficient land governance. No? The central part of the land management vision is we call spatially enabled participatory land management. No? So which is this one can only be in place if there is a sound spatial planning and land policy. So, Human, with this, you have uh, it can also provide information or support sustainable land management. And then properly defined land administration concern, land value, land markets, land development. Now, and because it is properly defined in terms of planning also and like allocation, that can that is that is agreeable to all parties concerned, that can support services to public, public and politics, and even business and society. In other words, acceptable to all interested parties in the particular location. Now, the, in the context of in the context of this, it can also reinforce institutional framework, land tenure, and research capability building. Okay, so this is what is going to be achieved in the Land Use Act of the Philippines, especially enabled participatory land management. No, so that ma-achieve na to ni dinhi uh, services of the land that is agreeable or amenable to all concerned, all parties concerned. So, just certain concept about land tenure, because when we say land administration or land management, we always run into this kind of concept, land tenure, because more often than not, there are always there are people already occupying a piece of property which are subject to land management or even land administration uh, activity procedures. So, in concept of land tenure, it can be static component, includes property of land, including its use and taxation. No? Land tenure also can be a dynamic component, meaning to say it includes measure to serve or reconcile such as proprietary circumstances, land use plan. Okay, it can the land tenure can you know can be upgraded, or even land tenure can be a changing status, especially if subjected to uh, land management activity. But as far as land administration is concerned, there is a static component because it only defines your ownership and your right in that sense in that particular property. Now, land tenure also, according to this land use plan, includes those parts of social, sectoral, urban, or regional planning which directly concerns the use of land and not the construction of buildings. Okay. In other words, for example, BSU, we don't have a a defined tenurial rights of the land considered as forest. Why? We don't have the document to show. We don't have a legal tenurial right to claim that the water resource here is actually ano, uh, ours, because we don't have a legal tenure from the government. What's more, several other land use, say for example, options, unless we have a well-defined tenure of the property. Once we have made the land use plan, each of these allocation must be registered so that our tenure in the use of the property will be clearly defined and it cannot be encroached by anybody. Okay? Right now, wa yun, napay na squatter. Wa pa na to kay sila way papilis, kita po way papilis. So somebody has to really show something that is going to be the enforceable by with the force of law. No? So the UN opinion for land governance does not require major societal changes. What is necessary is for the issues to be on the political agenda. Meaning to say, ang land governance is also affected by the political will of the political leaders. Makikonsult ba? Makikistorya? Something settle? So these are very important. You cannot uh, dictate the implementation of land governance. No, it has to have a well settled agreement and you know discussion by all people, all concerned that are having some conflicting claims on that piece of property. No? So it should also be land governance should also be a topic at the university. Okay, there are 7 key factors for land development or economic growth. These are natural resource, no? Human resources, technical processes, capital, knowledge, and also uh, marketing and institutional and political framework. And of course, number 7, values, ethics, paradigm commitment, precondition for governance. No? Now, in ano in we call it factors of growing economy, kung daghan kang natural resource, siyempre mo grow gyud ka. You also have the people to really talented people to start with. You have the technology and you have the capital. So kung what capital, strategically aligned with countries nga na capital and then develop this together. Knowledge and its marketing, no? Institutional and political framework. Importante, there is going to be a political system that is supportive to the development of land resource. No? So you have this particular framework that is considered as the the foundation. Okay, this makes land administration as it is. No? The triangulation of these two, no, the triangulation of these three makes a land administration implementable and strong. One is the first side of the triangle is land value, well-defined land value. Okay. Another is tenure, well-defined ownership. Okay. Klaro kaayo ang tenurial right na ay titulo. And the third one is land use. Unsa may gamit ana? Asa man na define? Is it classified as agricultural or is it classified as kanang naay unsa na industrial? Is it classified as protected? Okay? Because the land value is affected by our land use is affected by will affect land values. Mapalit kag agricultural land, barato naman na. Nagibutang kag factory. Na lugi ka kay di mao ang classification niya. Gihimuan dag That's why land use plan is really very important to all communities or to all LGUs. Why? Because without without kanang naay a well-defined land use plan, ang imong triangle sa land administration kimpang. Wala yun. Because how can you even say nga mahal ni because ana ni? You have no basis. Wa man kay land use plan. Nga kana kog humayan paliton nagtukuran og residential di man na mahal, lain-lain man nag-value, no? Na ay say for example Marcy area gipalit barato ra 2 pesos per square meter. O kadto di ay kay itukuran man yung factory or unsa maghihibo ang kalsada dining mahal ang ikaw nagbaligya ka wa kay titulo wa ka tanan malugi ka. So that means this should be the center of the concern when it comes to effective land administration. Land values are well defined. Asa man ka land value basis? There is a land use unsa man ay classification ana. Og industrial na mahal na. Og agricultural barato na. So it has to be well defined. Asa man na locate ng imong area. Okay, you own a property niya. Na ay land use plan ng community. You have to know unsay asa na locate na kung naa ka sa industrial area. So imong ibaligya imong yuta. Mahal balit ana. Tukuran ng factory mahal man na. Unya human ang land ownership po na po titulo na ay naa ka nag-occupy nga identified as industrial nga mahal ka ayong industrial ka identified man siya. Pag mangno pa wa kay titulo awa ka either ibaligyan na mo nagbarato or di na paliton diwalay mo invest ana wa may titulo but para na sa sa investor. So importante na agyud ni, no? Na agyud ni. Very important na, no? Kaning triangulation. Because without it wala. Now karon na kay example lang ba? Example lang katong bisulti sa before. Nakayuta kugon ray nanubo, no? Kugon ray nanubo. Unya kana siyang kugon batuon pa gyud lapok as in wa gyud crops nga mo grow diha kay uwa og yuta, wag yun. Kung imo nang tamnan, may nalangan kita mo income kag 100,000 in 10 years. Ana nga yuta. Ana, buta tayo mga senaryo. May na nakakugnan, bungtod pa, nakakugnan, unya human kanang naay wag yung crops mutubo. Nyawa po tubig, wala gyud. So very low, poor ang value gyud. Daw kay pagtan-aw nimo sa land use plan, naaman dai siya sa part sa development sa lungsod nga na-identified siya for industrial use. So dili dai siya ingong why value, no? Ingadto ang kuan, ingadto ang mga investor sa lungsod. Ingon na, asa mi, we are from XYG Telecom Company. Kung invest mi, manaod mi og poste sa inyong plan. Asa man mo itaod? Adto lang mo dito identified sa mga industrial. Ayaw mo glatas di aning mga residential. Adto mo sa industrial. Og natungnan ang imong yuta nga tukuran dito tower sa cell site panalitan. Tukuran dito. Pag tukod dito, negotiate na. Ingon ka, sa mga, no, ipalig ako na lang ng ipaplipap. Mupliti mo sila. They will not buy, but they will lease your property for 10 years. Pila man, lease. Pila may pliti. Gamay ra ni among plitihan, mga 500 square meter sa imong yuta. Kay, ano na mo itukod ang among tower, ang among cell site, hindi sa imong kwan. Ano na mo itukod. So, ano sila? So, we will, among ning plitihan imong yuta, kay, sa among tan-aw, industrial man ni. So, taas-taas, tig-valor, industrial. Maman, plitihan na mo ni 5 million sa napo katuig. 5 million. Bisan pagtagaan kag 50 katuig, kanang yuta, og imo nang tamnan, may makakita kag 1 million. So, murag tingkang imong donggan. So, taas og value, taas og gamit. Pagtan-aw, kay makititulo. Sir, nakititulo ani sir. Wa pa kay nakoy deklarasyon. Wa kay titulo. Nya. Nasa humaguwang tanaw dito. Layo pa kayo. In other words, wa gyud titulo nga directly sa imo. What happens? No go. Wala mo di mi mo kana na badbara na mo na. Dili na mo mi mulahos og tugod na sa imong yuta at mislain silingan nimo. In other words, you go the opportunity na mo income unta ka sa imong property. Kung mo kayo makititulo, wa kay you don't have the ownership of your ownership in that piece of property is not well defined. So you have a very high opportunity loss. Can you imagine? 5 million in 10 years? Or not only that. O ba nga 8 million nga na. 8 million in 10 years. Platihan. 10 years. Dating almost like 1 million every year ang imong wala kay gasto. Income ni mo na. Wala sige imong tamnan. Wala kay may income na. Pagkansi pa ka. Kaya way mo tubo ng crops. So this is just an example of really an example of the necessity of a well-defined land administration like procedure. No? Kinahanglan sa usa ka municipality na agid siya kana bang well-defined land value. Ato din is Pilipinas, imo din ng yuta, ang imong silingan, inig-ibaligya inyong yuta, di mo parehag value, nga tapan naman unta mo. Why? Imong kuan, depende sa hinti, sipsipan ang tag-iya. Nya, ingon ka, mapalit lagi ko. At tagaan kag presyo nga kana pangbalibad nga presyo ba? Ana, kay aron di ka mo palahos og palit. Dobi kay mo palit mo yun. Papasubo ka, no? Very erratic ang atong land valuation. Pero in other countries, wala ni negotiation. Pila may presyo? Mauna, nasa notary. Bayaran mo, you have the land. Why problema? Ato din naana ang atong presyo. Depende ra sa maka hung dito sa tag-iya, no? So, that is, ang pasiuna na to din land administration to be well established, kinahanglan na ay unang-una proper land use. Pag na ay proper land use, proper or appropriate land value is also well defined. Pag appropriate ang land value, it will increase the economic opportunity of the piece of property if you have a well-defined ownership. a well-defined ownership. Pero wag kay titulo, sorry na lang. Sorry na lang. That's exactly what is real in a well-defined, ano, in a well-established land administration system. No? Muna siya, class. That ends our lecture for this evening. If you have any question, you can uh, you can visit the group chat na to or email me so that we may also discuss that uh, in next year or in the succeeding meeting so that we can tackle and size out all your questions. Now, today is our ano lecture for like the second part of lecture 1.2, module 1, lecture 1.2. This completes the 1.1 and 1.2. Now, next meeting, I'm going to upload again the lecture for 1.3, okay, for module 1.3. Okay, in module 1 and lecture 1.3. I will also upload that in two installments, two sets, okay, two sets. And after lecturing on 1.3, we will have a module quiz. And that's going to be 50 items or something like that. So, module quiz. Because we are still with module 1. No? I hope to finish module 1 by what? By before the end of December. Okay? So, for questions and clarifications, send it to me through email or through our group chat. Okay? Thank you and uh, good night and have a blissful day.